All right, very good. So this is going to be basically a refresher. For some, it's brand new. You're just coming in the door, and it'll be the orientation of what property finders do. For others, it'll be a refresher, and then it will also be an opportunity to see what hurdles you as property finders that have been here for the last week or two have come across, and how we can get you rolling and producing. Okay, I know it's been a little bit slow. There's been several that have submitted offers, but a lot that have not submitted offers. So I'd like to know, what are the holdups? Is it lack of training? Is it an issue with perhaps your leadership, or is it something else that's holding you up? Maybe it's your schedule. Maybe you thought you could devote the time and you're really not able to. But I'd like to know what it is, and that way we can address those. Because my goal is for every single one of you to be successful in this and to make a lot of money and to roll to the next level. So starting with property finder, if you want to stay a property finder, that's totally fine. I've talked to others that have preferred just to be a property finder because of their schedule. That's not a problem at all. But if you want to progress and do more, then the doors are open for that. So let me jump into the training. I'm going to share my screen and show you what this is about. 1 second here. Okay, so does everyone see the screen? So let me go ahead and get this started. Slideshow from beginning. All right, so basically this is MLS property finding. So there's various types of property finders. You might be doing driving for dollars. It might be cold calling, or you might be doing text messaging. So this is on market or MLS property finders. The tool we're using in particular for this is Privy, which we are using that methodology primarily because PACE has already built a foundation with everyone with the Elephant Challenge. You have the tool, you have the Elephant Challenge training behind you. So that gives you a foundation in which you can start rolling quicker. That's the idea behind this, is that you've already done a lot of homework in the Elephant Challenge. Now we're going to go to the next level or two and make you productive with what you've learned. So there's 3 functions, 3 responsibilities for the property finder. The first one is to fill the funnel. So you're the top of funnel, you're filling it up with offers, and we're going to get into more detail in a minute on that. The second is to build an agent network. So you're building rapport with the agents. That rapport is going to carry over to the acquisition managers, and that way we can get more opportunities from those agents. And as you grow, as you go from property finder to acquisition manager to dispo manager, that's going to be more and more significant to you, the value of those agents. But even as property finders, they can call you up and bring you a new deal, and that will help you out in getting more opportunities into the system. The third one is learning the ABCs, Property Finder 101 or Real Estate Investing 101, so that you're able to grow to the next level. So once you become, you get this down and you want to take on more, then you would be qualified to be an acquisition manager if you so choose. And then you'll have your own team underneath you, your own property finder team working for you. So the idea behind filling the funnel is that any marketing scenario, you have a funnel where you have a lot of leads coming in the top. And then as they go through this, they get filtered out and then filtered out and filtered out until you get to the money. So everyone coming into the top of the funnel are not necessarily a hot lead or even a warm lead. You know, they're totally at that point fairly cold. But the idea is that we weed out anybody that is not going to actually do a deal with us. So as they move down the funnel, more and more people get weeded out. So in this scenario, at the top of the funnel is the property finders. And you can see over on the far left, they find the property, they talk to the agent, build rapport, gather information, they analyze the deal, they submit the offer, and they put it into the CRM. So that's the first step of this funnel, is the property finder. They're doing those actually 4 steps of this process. The next part of the funnel is the acquisition manager. They're again building rapport, they're gathering more information as needed, they're countering, they're negotiating these deals, and they're signing the contract. Maybe they're putting in whatever conditions need to be in that contract to get it signed. But from the beginning of the funnel, of 100 offers being submitted, that only about 20% of them will actually want to negotiate. So if you're putting in 100 offers a week, then the acquisition manager is negotiating 20 of those offers per week. So that's your primary role, is to get those offers in there so that there will be something to actually negotiate. And then after they've negotiated it, then they close the contract and it moves on to the next step of the funnel, which is after it's under contract, that's disposition. So of course we're going to have once it's under contract, there'll be someone putting in the EMD, gator funding. That gator funding could be from you. If you have the funds available and you want to be the transactional funder for the property, you can. Or it might be the acquisition manager, or it might be somebody else if need be. But we want to give that opportunity to you, your team, the acquisition manager and yourselves, first pick at being the transactional funder if you so desire. And then somebody else can come in and pick that up if you guys are not in a position to do that. And then from there, the dispo will syndicate out the deal to his buyer list. And this is a list not of people we've never contacted before, but we're stripping it down to their buy box. So after the dispo talks to a bunch of people and he gets their buy boxes, it will be pushed out, syndicated out to only the people that match the buy box. So if they say we only want a 3-2 and we only want it in either cosmetic or basic rehab condition, then we won't send them a gut job. We won't send them a 4-1 because it doesn't fit their buy box. It'll filter to only syndicate to the right people. And the dispo will build the rapport. They'll manage anything that they need to get that buyer on board. The buyers will do the inspection. They'll renegotiate if need be at that point, because sometimes at that point there might be a hole in the process. Let's say, for example, it looked great based off of what the agent said, based off of what the listing said, but the buyer goes out and he sees, okay, there's some major damage on this foundation that was not reported. So now that hole, that missing piece of information, means that we have to go back and renegotiate. Not you, but somebody does. This is just an overview of the whole process. And then from there, we either get the deal closed, as in assign the property to that buyer, or if nobody wants it because the deal wasn't good enough, then it has to be canceled. But it's on a first come, first serve basis with the dispo, so that they can, whoever buys it, the first one grabs it, they get it. And they put in a non-refundable assignment fee that goes to escrow. And then after this whole thing closes, as in the 30 days or up, then that money is dispersed out to everybody. So once the escrow closes, you get your share as a property finder, and there's transactional funder, and there's also transaction coordinator. They all get paid their share along with acquisition, disposition. Everybody gets their share of the deal. Does that make sense before we move on? See if there's any questions here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move to the next slide.
Oh, no.
Yes, Carmen? Okay. Don't think she knew she was unmuted. All right, so the idea of this top of funnel is that you are basically taking all these potential leads in your area and filtering it down to only about 4%. How are you doing that? First, you're using Privy filters to knock off 80% of them that don't matter, leaving about 20%. Of those 20% that you're actually submitting offers for, only 20% of those will be willing to negotiate. So now we take 100% down to 4, because 20% times 20% is only 4%. That's your primary function as a property finder, is acting as those first two filters, filtering out the junk from Privy, from all the online listings, and then putting in the offers to filter out who's motivated. As Jerry Norton said, the purpose of making offers is not to get deals. We make offers to uncover a motivated seller. So your KPI, a KPI, by the way, is a key performance indicator. So your key performance indicator, in other words, to tell how well you're performing, is how many offers you're presenting. So if you present, the goal is to do 3 offers per hour. Jerry says you can do 5 an hour. Ryan Solon and Jamil say you can do 5 an hour. I'm saying you can do 3 an hour, not 5. But of course, you're beginning. There's a process of learning. You have to do the reps. You have to put in the practice and get better and better. So maybe you're not good at this point. You're not doing 3 an hour, but maybe you're only doing 1 an hour. So, everyone that came on board said they can commit at least 15 hours per week, 15 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 or more. So if you're signed up for 15 to 20, so even if you're not good, you should be able to produce 15 to 20 offers per week. And then once you get good at it, then you should be able to do 3 times that amount. If you submitted for more time, if you're full-time, you should be able to do, once you're good at it, 100 offers a week. If you're not good at it, maybe just 30 a week. But that should be your performance indicator. So sometimes it's easy to get into this rabbit hole of, let me take in more information, let me ask other people, let me try this other method out. But we're outlining a very particular method which will allow you to produce a lot of offers. And that needs to be your KPI. How many offers am I producing? So if you're not producing offers yet, that's your #1 goal, is to start producing offers, so that you can actually, you can't make money if you're not producing offers. The other responsibilities of the property finder, is building agent network. So you're building that rapport with the agent and learning the ABCs so that you can move to the next level, like we spoke about a little bit earlier. So that's what we want you to focus on. You're talking to the agent, you're building rapport, but primarily you're submitting offers. So now, how do you do that? We're going to take you through Privy and show you step by step how you do these how you actually go through this. So number one is what I call finding flipper land. Where are the flippers at? Where are they flipping properties? So as it says here, you set your filter for sold fix and flips, and you look for flipper activity and you pencil the area. So let me show you that. I'm going to stop my share for a moment and flip screens. Let me share that screen. So here's Privy. And when you come into a fresh dashboard of Privy, you don't know yet which are flipped and which are not. So what you have to do is you go to your filters and you go to sold, you take off the active, and you hit fix and flip. When you do that, it creates this ARV 75%. And you're welcome to adjust that. That's the default 75%. If you want to adjust it to 70, 65, that's primarily up to you and your acquisition manager. Please lean on your acquisition manager for guidance. That way he can help you or she can help you with all the filters here so that you can find good properties. Every market's a little bit different. And if you lean on your acquisition manager, they can help you set the filters appropriately. But first off, I'm just going to set it to sold, single family, fix and flip. Now by doing that, it's going to filter and only show me properties that have, whoa, in China, interesting. So I'm gonna go, let's do Jacksonville. So all of these that it's showing are ones that fit the criteria of fix and flip properties that are sold. The size of the bubbles kind of indicate how much activity there is in that area. And you can see different sectors with more activity. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit down here where we have more activity. Wait for a moment and it'll update. And now you can see where the fix and flip activity is happening. These are properties that are sold and they were purchased at 75% of ARV or less. So now that we have this data, I'm going to pencil out an area that I want to focus on. So I can take this little pencil button, come over here, and let's say that I want to look only within this range right here. Fairly small area. Now that I've got that penciled out, I'm going to do the next step of the process, which is flipping it over to actual active instead of sold. So now it'll show me the active ones that are ready to be fix and flipped. They're at 75% of ARV or less. That's the current setting. So all the green ones here are properties that might fit that bill to be fix and flipped. Not necessarily that they are, but they might fit the bill. So let me jump back over to the PowerPoint again. So this is showing you different filters right here that you can set up with your Privy. You can filter for, number one, you want to filter for the fix and flip and active, which we already did. At that point, you can adjust your percent of ARV, which I illustrated very quickly how to do that. Days on market, the price per square foot, and then you can take all of that and create a saved search. So I'm going to show you in a minute how you can set up all those different elements. Let me jump over to the next one. Once you do that, then you can pan for gold. So you want to make sure it's not retail ready. Perhaps it might be hotel ready, which means it's in a lipstick or maybe cosmetic condition. It's in really good condition, but it's not selling. So if it's totally retail ready, it's gonna go off a market. Maybe it's not selling because of the price. Maybe it's not selling because of really bad pictures. But for some reason they can't unload it. So we're gonna come in and help them unload it by just doing some very minor work. That's the wholesale model. Or it might need a little bit more work, but still fits the buy box of the buyers. Buy boxes will change over time. So initially, I mean, right now in the market we're in, a lot of people are not interested in guts or destroyed because the market is very uncertain. So if they need to hold it for 6 months, it can lose value over that course of time. So if you have the bigger and bigger the rehab, the longer it's going to take to fix it and the riskier it is. So buyers are kind of straying away from riskier projects towards those that don't have as high of a risk. So lipsticks, cosmetics, and basic rehabs are primarily what we want to focus on, unless they tell you, you know, if your acquisition says, yeah, we have buyers that want to do a gut, then great, we can go for a gut. These are guidelines, but your direction needs to come from your acquisition manager based off of the buyers in that particular market. And then another thing for panning for gold are looking for price drops. So anytime there's a price drop, it shows that there's a little bit more pain and they're ready to do what's necessary, or they might be ready to do what's necessary to unload this property. So those are things you can look for when you're panning for gold. So jumping back over to Privy. So you can look at these briefly over here and you can see kind of at a glance how they look. This one looks kind of manicured, so that might not be a good fit. You can click into the property and see, but I can see this was listed only 3 days ago. It looks fairly manicured. The same thing here. So I'm not so interested in those, but I might scroll down to see something like this that definitely does not look well presented. So this here could be a good opportunity. I click on it and I look inside, and sure enough, yeah, this place needs some help. So this place would be a great opportunity for a fix and flip. So that's how you can pick out a gem very quickly just from scrolling through these properties. Now I'm going to go back to the filters and show you how you can also filter out so as to avoid looking through so many properties. Days on market is one of them. You could set so that you have it as a low 30 days. Don't show me anything that hasn't been on the market for more than 30 days. One of the challenges of properties that have recently been listed is that they may not be willing to negotiate yet. They may be thinking, well, I can move this still. I got time. We just listed it. I don't want to negotiate yet. But if you put like a 30-day on market, now you're dealing with properties that have not moved and they might be more willing to negotiate. And you can see just looking at the top one, this is not as well manicured as the others. So it's a very strong potential of a fix or flip. So that was one of the filters, is days on market. Some of the other filters, you can do property dollar per square foot. You can do price tag. So, you know, if you're looking at these properties and you're seeing a lot of them are in basically they're all in the 200 range, right? If you saw several in the 400 range, like this one's 365, that one doesn't really look like it fits the bill for everything else we're seeing in the neighborhood. So sometimes you'll see maybe instead of just one, maybe a third or half of them don't fit the bill. So you can go click over here and set your price tag so that you have a high of, let's call it 300,000. Is that right? Yeah. That way you don't see anything that doesn't match that filter criteria. As far as the dollar per square foot, I'm going to click into this and show you the comps area. So if we look at the sold properties, Most of them are selling under 300, like maybe 275 to 300 range. So if they're above 275, then they're probably not a deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the filter over here for the dollar per square foot and say, I don't want anything more than 275 per square foot. So that'll take out more properties that they're not, they're too high to really have that much. If they're charging that high, they're basically overcharging. Does it mean that it's not a deal? No, it could mean that, but there's several strategies. So one strategy would be to look at properties that are overpriced, but they've been on the market a long time. So your days on market is higher, but the actual motivational factor of the price isn't showing. The other way is the days on market are less, but then you're looking more at the dollar per square foot of being lower. So those are two separate strategies you can use to try to find the gems within the property. So let me jump back over to the outline real quick. Oh, I have a couple of questions I'm going to answer before we move on. Ralph, since we're being assigned zip code areas to farm, doesn't it really matter? Doesn't it really matter to find areas or fix flip activity? Mike, I'm not sure what each acquisition manager is doing. They might be assigning zip, they might be assigning it through another methodology. But we're kind of leaving it up to the acquisition managers to separate out how he's defining areas for his acquisition managers. We definitely want you to have good areas to work. And if you feel like there's areas that like you're not getting zip codes that are good to work, talk to your acquisition manager, because we want to make sure that you're getting, the fix and flip activity is important. So if you're not seeing fix and flip activity in your area, that would be a problem. So it's harder to dispo in areas where there's no fix and flip activity. So please, if that's the issue, we want to address that. We want to make sure that you have good activity in your area. So if your zip codes don't reveal good activity, then we need to address that. Does that answer your question, Mike?
Yeah, I just got on the speaker here on the mic. So yeah, I think regardless of how the acquisition manager defines the area, we want it defined so we're not overlapping each other. So if that area, I think if we look first in that area and then see if there's any flips, if there's not, maybe it's just a bad zip code or a bad area. And then we have to request a different area.
Correct.
We just wouldn't go in and look at the whole city and start picking bubbles because that bubble might not be in our assigned area.
Correct, yes. So
okay.
I'm just going in based off of the fact that I'm not assigned any territory. So just to show you how you can look at a territory, and zip code is a little bit bigger. So let me just, I'll take that example of a zip code right now. Let me share my screen. I'm going to go to the zip code of 32205. So that's a much larger area than what I had defined. I got this little section here. So you could still go into a zip code and look at it. If I go back over here and flip to sold. Oh, I got other filters in there now. Let me take those out. Let me let's see here. Reset. Sold. Fix and flip.
And put the zip code in. You missed that.
Thank you. 05, is that right?
Right.
Okay. All right, I did something wrong because it's not showing me. 1 minute here. Sometimes it gets a little stubborn. I might have to go back to square one.
Maybe the timeline needs to be more than a month.
Oh, timeline set to a month? There we go. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, in the zip code, you can still run that same search of jumping in and seeing where those properties are that, come on. There we go. Where the properties are that have been fixed and flipped in your particular zip code. But yeah, if you got a bad zip code, then, you know, we want to make sure you have good territory for certain. All right, what we got here? So when we were given criteria for Atlanta, the price on the high end was 450K. Is that ARV or MAO? Mike, I'm not sure what the ACQ told you for the 450 for Atlanta. I'm presuming that's the ARV. That doesn't sound like an MAO.
Okay.
During the
And
transition.
yeah, and the acquisition person, maybe he put that in, but he's the one that had to back out. So I don't know if it's still the same, but I'll use that as the ARV.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to your acquisition. Who is your acquisition manager?
Mike G.
Okay.
Mike, can
Hey,
you hear
guys.
me?
I can hear you okay. Not to hijack the call, but I think, and if I'm not mistaken, didn't Josh have a spreadsheet with hot zips?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Hey, Josh.
Yeah. So let me get my video on here. Yeah, the 450 is the ARV that we're kind of shooting for. So yeah, that's not going to be a maximum allowable offer because that would put us way out. So that's kind of the ARV that we were hunting around. So that's what I set. But as far as Mike, he said I did have a spreadsheet for these zips. I can resend that to you if you didn't have it, but I know Mike Guzman, getting confused here. Sorry. Mike Guzman, did you get the zips assigned to you?
I saw the zips in the Discord
Okay.
where they were assigned.
Okay. Perfect. And I had added to that. I don't know if for your group I had broke those down again yet. Let me look at that here and see, because I did add pretty much every zip on there that we had that were basically good zip codes, and just left out the zips that were not good areas to be buying property. So we can follow up with that after the call and stuff. But yeah, to answer your question, the 450 is going to be ARV. So
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And just to clarify for everybody, there will be specifics for each market. So Atlanta market will not be the same as Memphis when we get over there. It won't be the same as Dallas. Some markets are higher than others. So whatever market you're in, get your direction from your ACQ, and the ACQ is getting their direction from the DISPO. So that's, Josh stepped in as the DISPO to clarify, because he's providing direction to all of his acquisition managers. So that's how that works. How should we interpret the 75% metric and the filter on Privy? Anything listed 75% of the expected ARV based on the Privy estimate. So that is basically a way of filtering out what Privy algorithm is saying the list price is at 75% of ARV or less. So it might be at 65, it might be at 55. And again, their algorithm might be wrong. So, use that with a grain of salt, but it can help you filter out some properties that are not deals. So if it's listed at 90% of ARV, it's just not a deal. You can't really wholesale that to a fix and flipper, but use that as a way of filtering to get rid of some properties to see less, to see the higher potential deals. And your acquisition manager might give you guidance on the percent of ARV, follow that guidance, because sometimes they'll use that as a methodology of that way people aren't overlapping each other. But that's up to the acquisition manager. Work with them as far as where you should set your percent of ARV. And if he says do it ABC, as in maybe do it this way at first, and then this way, and then this way, so that you progressively see different deals, listen to your acquisition manager. They can help you along that to get the deals in. Let's see here. I still have not been assigned a team acquisition manager. Diane, there are a few that have not been assigned, but I know that Lynn is working hard to get you assigned. I apologize, you're not assigned yet. We had 2 acquisition managers drop out, and that creates a little bit of a hollow, you might say. I'm not sure what the word is, but we have to fill those voids. The void, that's the word I wanted. So, and then we've had several property finders who were lost, partly because of that, partly because of myself not providing good enough training. And I think partly because they have not engaged in the right areas. So we want to try to get everybody squared away. Some acquisition managers have said, we don't have really any property finders that are engaged. They're not doing anything. Others, the problem wasn't with property finders, it was with the acquisition manager themselves. We're trying to plug those holes, and we want to put you, Diane, where there's a need. We don't want to overburden any territory with too many property finders. And we want to make sure that everything's well balanced and that you can have real workflow. Does that make sense, Diane?
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to make sure you knew why I wasn't doing anything, because I'm still kind of waiting for your direction. But yeah, no worries. I got other stuff to keep me busy.
Okay. It should not be long.
Okay.
We're trying to sort through all of this, and we wanted to get this training done today because, we have over 50 property finders that are active, and that doesn't count you, Diane, because you haven't been assigned yet. You and another 10 to 12 others have not been assigned yet.
Okay.
But the ones that are assigned, there's a few that are submitting offers, but many people are not submitting offers. So we want to try to plug the hole of whatever is preventing them from submitting offers, so that we can properly place new people coming in and equalize each of the teams. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you.
You bet. Yeah. Let's see here. Sharon, I have not met my acquisition yet, ATL3. Okay. Do you know who your acquisition is, Sharon?
That would be me, Sharon.
Okay. And Mike just came on board. He took the place of somebody who stepped down. So sorry, Sharon, that the other acquisition didn't work out, but you got Mike now, and he's a good guy.
Depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. No doubt at all.
Okay, so Mike, will you be reaching out to us on that team, or are we supposed to reach out to you?
Yeah, no, I wanted to have a Zoom call with everybody in ATL3. So, it's the catch-22. I'm not sure who exactly is on my team as a PF, right? So.
And Mike, if you need that direction, we have that information for you. So either your dispo or Lynn can fill you in on who your PFs are.
Okay.
wholesale JV, how can we find out who are acquisition managers? Who is this wholesale JV? You can unmute yourself. I see your face.
I think it was a stupid question. I think I asked the wrong thing, so I apologize. It kind of makes sense now, though. Who were supposed to submit the offers to? We're supposed to submit the offers to the agents, and then as far as the what happens after that is what I had a question about.
Okay, not worried at all. Don't worry about stupid question. Okay, we're all here to help each other out, and you're cool, man. You're good. Thank you. See, I still have not been assigned a team. So Angel, you're probably in that same boat as Sharon. So we'll get you signed up really, really soon. I haven't been assigned yet. Mary, proof of funds, Monica, you go to your acquisition manager. You don't need to provide a proof of funds, Monica. So you can submit your offer and that proof of funds will come later, once we get to the point of actually signing a contract. But
Okay, it's because the agent asked for it initially. They wanted the proof of funds when I submitted the offer.
okay, talk to your acquisition manager. If they are requiring that, your acquisition manager can provide that for you. Okay.
Alrighty, thank you.
In general, people won't need that to submit the initial offer. You should be able to start the process without that. But if they're saying, no, I need it first, then yeah, we'll work with them and the acquisition manager will provide that.
I sent it, it's because I sent him a letter of intent and I guess he wanted the POF attached to it,
Mhm. Okay.
but got it. Thank you.
You bet, Monica. Thank you.
Question.
Yeah.
A lot of these properties with the market changing are not really going to be cash offers. I mean, that wouldn't make sense. So what about implementing a creative financing part of it?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
How can we go about that?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Thank you, Curtis. We are definitely going to do that.
I'll be on mute.
What was that?
Okay.
Gotcha. You want me to tell him you're on or just talk to him like normal?
Talk to them like normal. Go ahead.
All right. So we're going to be implementing that very, very soon.
Okay.
We're just trying to get this ball rolling first.
Okay.
And then we'll address the leads that, they're not ready to negotiate on and cash, or it doesn't make sense for them.
Right.
Then for those, we're going to move into a creative sideline. So,
Okay. Yeah, because that's what I'm running into. A lot of the prices are overpriced and don't make sense for cash. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I'm not submitting offers is because of that.
Please don't worry about that. Submit the offer anyway. And you'll find that there's a percentage of people that are ready for cash in a way, even though they're overpriced, even though, the market's shifting, there's still that percent that will want to do cash. When you're looking at the plan, the exit plan, the number one way to go is always cash.
Right.
You present cash first, and if that don't work, then you shift gears to the next.
Right.
You want to present the cash first. And from there, after that don't work, then we'll try to see if we can do a creative with them.
All right. Okay. So just submit it anyway. Okay.
Submit it anyway. And that'll
All
be in your name, Curtis. Once you submit it as a property finder, that'll be in your name. So whether it gets done as a cash or creative, you'll still get your share.
Okay. Got it. All right.
All right. Let's see here. So I see a couple of questions about buy and hold, as well as rental. So yeah, you can submit offers on cash flowing properties, buy and hold, renter ready, renter in the property. That's not a problem. If your question is around how to analyze that property, talk to your acquisition. it's a different set of criteria. And if we're talking about, single family or anything below a fourplex or smaller, it's a residential multifamily. And the evaluation for that, it's kind of twofold. You do the same evaluation as you would on a regular single family home, in that you're comparing it against the other solds, but you're also looking at it from a cash flow perspective and making sure it's a solid deal on a cash flow perspective. We don't have time to get into that today, but talk to your acquisition managers, and if they need help, they'll get the help for you to be able to analyze those buy and hold cash flow deals. Sharon, does that answer your question there? Sharon Hollings? Oh,
Yes.
Hollings. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
You bet. All right, who and how? Let's see. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ralph,
Yes,
I'm on the
Sharon?
mic. Question, can we submit offers on open door properties?
On open door, as in, what do you mean by that?
The company, Open Door, can we submit offers
Oh.
on their property?
So they basically, open door. I'm trying to remember what they do exactly. They're not under contract yet, right?
Oh, no, I haven't submitted any. I just see a lot of their properties on my, in my zip code.
Okay, so I thought that Open Door was a company that actually put them under contract, a wholesaling type operation, but I might be wrong there. I'm not 100% sure.
They do, but they also put them on as for sale. They
Hey,
have
Ralph.
them for sale.
Yeah.
Ralph.
Yes.
So I was just talking to Rob Sema, just so we had a previous meeting before that. Open Door. So Open Door is one who is going out of business, or they are upside down, and they are disposing a lot of their properties. Rob just talked about this, and he said he expressed his opinion, but they are trying to unload as many properties as they can because they are like $400 million in the hole. So they are starting to list their properties. And from, I think Sharon was just mentioning too, that they are listing them. So yeah, I would say it's up to you guys, but I would say yes, go ahead and go after them, because they are probably, say, even MLS would say yes, submit, even if they are corporate owned by Open Door, to still submit the offers, because they are looking to unload their inventory.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if it makes sense, submit it.
And they're taking, Rob just said he sees guys that are going after him, and they're taking 30-40 cents on the dollar.
Nice.
So go after Open Door. Go get them from what they took from all the rest of the wholesalers.
Cool. Okay, so let me go back to the outline real quick. All right, so the next step of the process is, let me put Zoom, or I'm sorry, let me put Privy back on here. I'm going to zoom in a little. Let me flip this back over to sold properties. I mean, listing active properties. All right, there we go. Obviously, there's something here that changed, but let me just find a good property here. Sometimes after you mess up your filters enough, you just have to go through and redo them from scratch. I think that's what I'm going to do, because I got something not quite right. Whoa.
Hey, Ralph, while you're doing that, this is Mike Greenwich, ATL3. So I think it was Sharon who made the point. You know, a lot of realtors are going to want to see POF at first engagement, right? Especially if you're making an offer. And it is not explicitly clear to me where the POF is or who I'm acquiring it from as an acquisitions manager.
Okay, from your dispo.
Correct.
Yeah. So we're trying to create a system where you'll have regular updated POFs. We don't want them to be 6 months old. So, you know, talk to your dispo to get your regular POF.
Okay, good. So if someone submitted an offer today, we have POF available.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, good.
Okay. Back in here. All right. So here's a property that needs help. So obviously looking at that, the first thing when you find a property, after you've located that property and need some assistance, you know, you look through the pictures and make sure, yeah, this definitely needs some repairs. It could be basic. In this case, you know, it looks like it might be a basic. It's got some cool features, but it's definitely not rehab. So you read through the description, you look at the pictures. The description might tell you some things about the property, like, you know, if it's, this one says uses additional income, the detached studio apartment, that's cool. So in that scenario, you know, you might look at it from a cash flow perspective, or at least just use that as another potential selling point on the property. But if it says something like, you know, if it gives you condition of the roof, condition of the basement or foundation, HVAC, any of the utilities, those sort of things you can use to help evaluate the property. If there is a price drop, you can include that, but you get all your details together before you actually call the agent. So, you know, you can see here it's got some issues with the walkway and driveway, but to know what agent you use, it's right here at the very top, listing courtesy of, and it shows you David Heron. And you can also see it at the bottom down here, listing courtesy of David Heron. So once you get this information, then you can simply Google them, get their name. Usually it'll also tell you their agency as well. I don't see that in this case, but you can Google them, find their address or their name. You don't really need their address. Find their name and say, hey, you know, I saw your property at 2570 College Street Drive or College Street in Jacksonville. Can you give me a little inside information on it? What's the scoop? And, you know, let them tell you a little bit about the property. And the idea is, number one, there might be things they'll reveal to you that hadn't been revealed in the actual listing. They might give you inside information about the seller, how motivated he is, other factors involved. Maybe there's partners, maybe the listing agent is actually an owner of the property. But you kind of gather that intel and you want to talk to them in a way that builds rapport. So they feel at ease speaking with you and you with them. So there's a little bit of a relationship forming that's happening as you're discussing the property. And you want to kind of get on the same page with them, ask them questions that are complementary, that might reveal how, you know, how many properties they're doing, how many they're selling, how long they've been in the business, and build them up. So you build up them personally, they'll be more likely to be on your side. And you want to ask them if they can represent you on the listing as well. So that's called the double dip strategy, where they'll actually get paid both commissions for the property. Not all agents will feel good about doing that, but if they if they are open to that, then that will that'll help you to be able to have one less person between you and the seller. So, you know, you can't with online, you can't talk directly to seller typically, but you can go through a single agent if possible. If you can't get a hold of this agent, or they don't feel comfortable working with you and, you know, being a listing and a buyer's agent, then you can get a different agent to represent you. And it might be one of their friends. You know, you can ask, hey, does anybody in your office or someone else you know might be able to represent me? If you know, if that agent doesn't feel comfortable with it. And that kind of gets them on their side too, because now they're doing a favor for one of their fellow agents or one of their friends that's an agent. And then you work with that other agent. If you can't get a hold of the listing agent at all, then you can go find another agent, and you might have a relationship already with an agent, and they can call up, they can find out this information for you, the fact gathering about this property. You want to kind of determine the overall condition of the property beyond what you see and what's in the description, the motivation. You know, why is the seller selling? Is it because he's a tired landlord? Is he in financial distress? Or how quickly does he need to unload for whatever reason he needs to? The timeline. So as you're gathering all this information, you know, you're taking notes. You can put it directly into the CRM, or you can have a notepad, but you're writing down all this information, which will help in the negotiating process. One second here. And you also want to frame the offer. So, you know, we're putting in offers that will probably be considered low ball offers. And that can turn away sellers, and it can also turn away agents. Our goal with rapport building is, number one, that they get on our side. So they can explain to the buyer why our price is what it is. So when we're trying to fix and flip a property, number one, the fixer, whoever buys the property, whether that be somebody internal to the Fat Juicy Deals team, the Harp Home Solutions team, or somebody outside of that team, that buyer has to make a profit. Otherwise, why are they even doing it, right? So they have to understand that it's got to be a win-win-win for everybody, including whoever buys this property. And secondly, that there's a lot of costs. So even though it's a cash offer, the flippers use hard money or private money to secure that cash. So there's expenses behind that cash. And, you know, you just kind of add up all the expenses. You know, you can look at the rehab and say, yeah, this is going to cost $2. And, you know, we'd love to offer you more. Really, we want to give your buyer as much as possible. But the reality is, this is where we need to be. And you know, just ask where the buyers or the seller is at. Will the seller entertain this? What do you think? Can you just submit it and we can get some feedback from the seller and see if they're willing to even talk about it? So by establishing that rapport with them, you prepare them and you prepare the seller for where our offer is going to come in at. You don't necessarily have to, at this point, disclose what your offer is going to be. At this point, you're just information gathering. You're gathering it from the listing, you're gathering it from the agent, and then once you're done with the agent, then you can go in and analyze the deal. So that's what we're going to do now, is look at the analysis. Before we do that, let me look at the questions. See if there's any Q&A that we need to go over. How do we comp? Okay, that's what we're about to cover. Some markets aren't able to double dip. Yeah, you know, laws can vary from place to place. So if that doesn't work, then you just have to get a different agent. But you can talk to that agent still and say, hey, can you refer me to somebody? Or you might have your own connection that you've already warmed up to, and they can help you out. Texas can't be a dual agent. Okay. I'm using Privy to filter on the given criteria for Atlanta. Therefore, I would never see a 2-1 like the one you're evaluating. That's fine. Maybe we need to open the criteria and read all the descriptions. Yeah, you know, it's a matter of time, right? So you don't want to look at 1,000 listings. And if you're only looking at a certain few zip codes, you may not have that many to worry about anyway. So you might start with your filter for a 3-bedroom and then open it up and see some other properties that would be undiscovered if you hadn't looked at it in this fashion. Okay, so is it a good example? Well, every market's different. This is a 2-1, it's 1,200 square feet almost. It could be a good example depending on where you're at and what's actually moving. So the dispo, they're in contact with the buyers. The buyers tell them what they're looking for in that particular area. Three-bedroom is the biggest bulk of what people are looking for. However, there are people that want to either take a 2-1 and turn it into a 3-2 or a 3-1. If there's enough space, they can do a 3-2. If not, a 2-1, a 3-1. Or they might be just doing smaller flips. So it's not necessarily out just because it's a 2-1. But you know, your particular acquisition manager and your particular dispo manager will give you more details on what is a valid opportunity in your market or not. I'm going to keep moving with this one because it could be, I don't know this market, but your acquisition manager and your dispo manager will provide that feedback to tell you if it's viable or not. So looking over here, this is how you start to evaluate the after repair value in your area. It's going to automatically draw you a box that represents a half a mile from the property. So everything in here should be within a half a mile. The blue button, it is only showing 1. That's supposed to be, the idea behind the blue button is that it only shows you the best match of opportunities that are more than likely fixed and flipped. So you can get a very quick ARV on this property. Based off of the blue, without looking at it, it's saying the subject property is $295 per square foot. The comparable is $440. Now, there's a couple of challenges with this blue. One is that it's a 3-2 instead of a 2-1. But you can see that the square foot is almost the same. It only increased by, what, 44 square feet? So it's not that big of a difference in square feet. That's why it counted as a comparable, because its square foot is fairly close. You look at the build generation, it's in the same build generation. You know, if you look at, some people say 10 years plus or 10 years minus, that works for modern homes. It does not work for the early 1900s homes, because there was a huge era where there wasn't that big of a difference between builds. So if you're talking about a 1915 versus 1941, that's no problem at all. But over here, we see that this blue property, it was updated on 5/3. The problem with that is we're looking at a property that's what, 4 or 5 months old? That's getting too old in the market that we're in right now. We're in a downward turning market, a recession coming on potentially. So you have to be careful with older properties that are more than 3 months sold. So what I'm going to do, you know, this can kind of give me an idea in my head that 440 might be a good mark, 440 per square foot, but I'm going to flip to the solds. That gives me more options to look at. So once I flip to solds, I'm going to go down and I'm gonna get rid of anything that doesn't fit. The first thing I personally like to do is get rid of anything that's older than 3 months as far as when it was sold. So I'm gonna just start deleting some of these properties that have been around a little bit longer. That way I'm looking at more fresh properties. So everything from May is gone. Okay, now I'm in June. I see there's still quite a few. I'm gonna get rid of June because that's still older than 3 months. Okay, now we're into July. My list is a little bit shorter. So at this point, I'm not, even though there's some of these properties that are still without, outside of the 3 months, I'm gonna leave them in temporarily. And I'm gonna look at the build gen just to make sure, okay, everything here is 1916 to 1930, so that's all good. I'm gonna jump over here to square feet. I don't want anything that's way too big or way too small. Ours is about 1,200. Everything is within about 200 square feet, so that's perfectly fine. Then I'm gonna jump to $1 per square foot. I'm gonna shortcut this and show you how you can get rid of some more without even looking at the property. $130 per square foot is not a fix and flip. That you can tell just simply because nobody would fix it and flip it and sell it for that cheap. So if I was to open up this property and look at it, then I would be able to quickly tell, yeah, this is not a fix and flip. But I don't even need to open it up because $1.30 or $130 per square foot already tells me it's not a fix and flip. So I'm going to click the little eyeball here, get rid of it because I know it's not a fix and flip. This here is probably not a fix and flip either. It's so low, same thing here. I'm going to take a quick peek just to make sure. And again, yeah, clearly not a fix and flip. Get rid of that one. Next one. Also not a fix and flip. Get rid of that one. And you can see I'm raising up the bar as far as where it needs to be. Now, this one down here is stacked and this one is stacked. What that tells me is this was the original price. This is the price after it's fix and flip. Or over here, $1.62 or 69 changed to $2.94. So you can tell that it was fix and flip because of that. I'm at $2.95. So I can tell already this place is overpriced. Now, is it a deal? It maybe they're ready to go down in price, but it's only been on market 32 days. So probably not. But I'm going to just take a quick peek over here at Herschel. Again, not a fix and flip. I'm going to get rid of Herschel. You know, all these are lower than what the property I'm taking a peek at. Now this one looks a lot better, right? So this one could be a fix and flip. It's in pretty decent shape. So that one I'm going to leave in there. And then we have this really high one here at 379. If I take a look at that one, that one looks pretty solid too. So just judging, you know, I'm trying to do this fairly quick so that we can keep rolling, but you can tell that our fix and flips are in this range. So if we wanted to get an ARV, I'd probably not use this outlier just because it's way higher than the others. But looking at the others, I see 292, 294, 294, and 316. I'm going to say that this price tag of 294 is already its ARV. They're pricing it at 295. Why is it being priced so high? Maybe it's priced so high because it has that extra unit in the back for, you know, detached studio apartment, 438 square feet. So that changes the whole price tag. So if you're looking at, if you add in the extra square feet, 483 onto this square feet, you know, we're actually talking about more square feet than what the actual square feet shows. And that might change your dollar per square foot based off of that factor. But if it didn't have that one element, that as far as the extra unit, additional dwelling unit, then it would be way overpriced. So, you know, you want to look at much lower, but how much can you offer on this? So that's the next step, is judging what the repairs are going to be on this property. So if I look at this property, I can see that it needs some work, you know, curb appeal. It definitely does not have curb appeal. So it looks like it needs all the concrete redone. Shrubbery is well overgrown. And you look in the house, it looks a little bit dated. It does have some cool design features on the roof. You know, you can kind of, and it's got the barn doors, sliding barn doors. So there's some cool stuff to it. Just taking a quick peek around. Yeah, it looks like the kitchen could use an update. The ceiling needs a little work. So, you know, anytime the ceiling needs work, you got to kind of question, okay, is there any other unseen damage that caused the ceiling to look like that? So from there, you can you basically have to make a quick judgment call. Is this going to be a cosmetic, or, you know, lipstick means it's basically done on the interior. Maybe a little bit of paint here or there, but the interior is good to go. And you basically increase the curb appeal with putting little into it. But with a broken up concrete, it's going to take a little bit more than that for certain. Cosmetic, with a cosmetic, you're going to do a little bit more. You might paint the inside and the outside. You might redo some flooring, but you're not doing appliances. You're not doing countertops. You know, there's nothing major going on. You don't redo the concrete with a cosmetic. The next level up is a basic rehab. That's where the majority of these are going to fall, is in your basic category, where you have to redo concrete. You might even potentially adjust your walls, but not if it's load bearing. You have to put in potentially new appliances, countertops, flooring, all of the main stuff that you would expect for a fix and flip. The next level beyond that is a gut. When you get to a gut, now you're talking about more extensive work. And you might need to, you know, you might want to open it up, take out a load bearing wall, put in a beam. You might have to fix some more bigger issues, like perhaps pulling out all the old electrical and replacing it, pulling out plumbing perhaps. There's some more large scale issues involved with it. And beyond a gut, then you get to a tear down. And a teardown might have such extensive damage that it's not very salvageable at all. So you got to take it down, maybe all the way down to the concrete, and rebuild it. But each level of repair means more time to get it fixed and more expense in the actual repair itself. So time is money. And then the actual, you know, the labor and the cost of materials is money. So as you go from lipstick to cosmetic to basic to gut to tear down, you have to give them an offer that represents all of the expenses and the risk that's involved with doing those different levels. So we have a calculator to do that. But before we go to that calculator, let's go back to the questions and see what we have in the questions. I'm using Privy to filter on the given criteria. Oh no, we did that one already. Okay, I guess it depends on your buyers, but Jamil has been mentioning he is taking 10% off the top on comps older than 3 months old. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, because I've come across like areas where there's not, there's fix and flips that have been in the area, but there hasn't been like a property that's been flipped in over 3 months. So I just mentioned that just because that's what Jamil, I guess it also depends on your buyers in that area as well, because that's what Jamil's been mentioning on his podcast and stuff like that. If you're in an area where it's like over that 3 months, then he's just been taking 10% off the top just to account for interest rate changes and, you know, the market going the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. It's all built around their buyers list.
Yeah.
So if your buyers will pay you 110% of ARV, great.
Yeah.
Which of course they won't, but
No.
but the idea is that, you know, every team has a dispo manager. That dispo manager is in touch with the buyers for that area. So what I'm giving here are general guidelines and how the process works, but the actual numbers and how you evaluate things is going to vary from market to market. And, you know, do you take 10% off the top for comps older than 3 months? Very well might, but, you know, if you're in a market that doesn't have a lot of properties, you have to come up with a comp. You can't not come up with a comp. So if there's not that many available, you might have to get older than 3 months. And you might have to, like Brian's saying, take 10% off the top because of the age. You know, the age has to do with the fact that the market's downturning. So where the market was 6 months ago is not where it's at now. So if you pick older properties, you have to realize, you know, they may have sold for that then, but they're not going to sell for that now. That's the idea behind discounting 10%. But the idea, you know, the main goal is to stay within the 3 months. If you don't have a lot of fix and flips in your area, you might have to go more than 3 months. But again, you also got to question, why are there no fix and flips in this area over the last 3 months? So is that going to be a problematic area? Maybe, maybe not, but you know, your goal is to get an area that has a lot of activity and you're syncing with that activity because the buyers are going to sync with that activity. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate your input.
You're welcome.
All right, cool. So let's go ahead and go over to the calculator. 1 minute here. I forgot to open that. I'm going to open it right now. All right, I'm going to open up a calculator in Dallas. Let me share my screen. So this is a quick calc, back of napkin, ballpark calc for property finders. The acquisition managers are going to look at it in more detail, but this is meant to give you the ability to ballpark an offer and submit the offer based off of this calculation without having to really go in depth of subtracting out a percent off top, subtracting out the buyer's costs and the buyer's profit, and then subtracting out the rehab costs, and then subtracting out the wholesale fee. It's a you know, just a few quick inputs that you put in, and it'll give you a number that should work. And it's specific to each market. So the Dallas calculator, property finder calculator, is not necessarily the same as the Memphis or as the Atlanta or as the Jacksonville or as the Tampa. Every calculator will have its own constants, its own information in the background to make sure that it fits your market. So in this case, you see it has square feet. That's what you punch in at the top. The list price, the days on market, the dollar per square foot, the condition being lipstick, cosmetic, basic, gut, or destroyed. Destroyed being the same as tear down, or major reno extras. So the idea behind the major reno extras is, let's say it's a lipstick, as in it's in really good shape, that just needs a little bit of curb appeal. However, the HVAC is busted. So let's say that this is in the case of that other property, we're going to call it 1,200 square feet. And what was that property listed at? 349, 350. So I'm going to take that property. I'm going to call this 349. There's the list price. Days on market. Hold on. This little bar is in my way. I can't see. Okay. So the list price is, I'm sorry, the days on market is right here, 32. So I'm going to change this to 32. The reason I'm putting in list price and days on market is because that'll affect your offer. If it's brand new on the market, then you can offer closer to list price. But if it's been on the market for 90 days, no buyer is going to want to pay over list price for a property that nobody's been buying. It means it's overpriced. So why is he going to buy it overpriced? So that's why this is in here, days on market and list price. Once it's set on the market for a while, you have to offer less than the list price. It doesn't make sense to offer list price if it's 90 days on market. So that's the idea behind these two fields. The the dollar per square foot. So we did the analysis. We came out with 294. So I'm going to punch that in. And I'm going to call this a basic rehab without any major extras. It's telling me that the ARV for this property is 353. However, I didn't really do the square feet yet. So what I'm going to do for this 1183, I'm going to add 1183 plus the 483. $1,666. So I'm going to punch in 1666 here. As a ballpark, we could potentially offer, I should say the ARV on this would be 490. That's our ballpark ARV based off of the extra square foot because of the additional dwelling unit, ADU. And our maximum allowable offer comes out to 221. Now, ADUs you evaluate a little bit differently. This one would be a little bit more complicated because it's a cash flow type of a potential. It's not part of the main property. One factor people do when, if they're talking about an additional area that's not part of the same house, is they'll basically evaluate it in half for that additional area. So instead of doing the entire 483, they would only do half of that, which is about 242. So 1183 plus 242, we'll call that 1425. So evaluating it that way, that takes our number down, our ARV to 419, our MAO of 189. Our first offer is only 90% of our max allowable offer. MAO, max allowable offer. We're offering 10% less, which gives us negotiating room. So we can put in the offer at 170 and they come back and say, yeah, 170 doesn't work. How about 200? And we can go back and say, well, at this point, what you as property finders would say is, I need to refer this to my acquisitions manager, or I need to refer this to my underwriter. He's going to take a closer look at the numbers and see if we can do 200 or not. So if you guys are in a phone conversation and the agent says, how about 200? They countered at 200. Then you refer it over to your acquisition manager. They're going to delve into the numbers tighter to see if 200 will work or not. or they'll negotiate, you know, from the 170 to 180, 185, 190, whatever they feel, you know, when they were negotiating where they need to land with that negotiation. But for you as property finders, your role is simply to put in that first offer at 170. And you can do 170, like in this case, 170, 429. And when you do that, then they can see there's some form of a calculation going on in the background. You just didn't pull that number out of your hat. There's something behind that number of why you offered 170, 429. And then they might come back and say no, or they might come back and say, well, you know, we can't go that low, but how about this? And then you just refer it over to acquisition manager. So let me stop the share now and see where we're at on questions. Yola, it's probably Yolanda, it's covering up part of the name. Yes, you can join using a holding company or an LLC. You don't have to join, you don't have to sign the JV agreement with your own name. Signing it with an LLC name works perfectly good. That's what I do. Yolanda, is this calculator free or do we have to have membership to the MLS? It's free. That calculator is what we specifically built for you guys. And you should have got access to that. That's how you analyze, that's how you get your offers out. So ask your acquisition manager to provide you access to that calculator. And by the way, with that calculator, what I'm able to edit it, but you can't. The reason for that is we can't have 100 people in here trying to work on, number one, trying to work on the same numbers as you are, because they'll mess up what you're trying to do. Number two is so many hands in the pool, someone's going to overwrite the actual formulas and then it's no longer going to work. So what you have to do is go into here, click on file and either make a copy or download. I like to make a copy. I like to do it online. And then once you make a copy, you simply rename it. And what you might rename it as is, you know, the actual address, 123 Main Street, whatever it is. And then once you do that, you know, now you're working on your specific copy for your specific property. But ask your acquisition manager to help you get access to this calculator. Yeah? Did I hear somebody say something? Okay. Okay, on Discord. Cool. All right, great. So 1 second, let me go back to the actual outline. Completing the offer. So once you've evaluated it, the next step is to submit it into the information into the portal and to actually email the offer to the agent. Some areas are using a letter of intent, LOI. Some areas are submitting an offer through an email template. So, you know, ask your acquisition manager what's best for your area. They can give you that resource so that you know how to submit that offer, either through a template for an offer or through the letter of intent. But let me take you over to the web form. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so here's the web form where you would actually enter your information into the CRM. What this does is it's a way to pull the information together of what you've been collecting, the condition of the property. As you talk to the agent, they might tell you more information about the property condition, about the seller motivation or timeline and other things like that. So you can enter all that information into this portal, which your acquisition manager should give you access to the portal so that you can put all your information for that property right into the CRM. Once you do that, that allows the acquisition manager to follow up with any interest. They can go into here and check to see what information there is on that property. Additionally, you have your name attached. This is how you get paid. So we can track in the CRM, once a deal closes, by who submitted this deal, what PF needs to be paid on this property. So it's, it's fairly straightforward. We're going to be tweaking this more. They're actually coming out with a new version in about 2 weeks-ish. And with that new version, we can make this form a little bit better for you as far as like layout and fields. But it's, fairly self-explanatory. I've heard that there's some challenges with knowing what to put in here as far as, where to put your name. So what people are doing is putting their name here at the top, and then down below, there's agent information. So that when you're talking about on market, you're talking to an agent, right? So here's the agent information where you enter their information. You can put your name here at the top. That might be changing in a couple of weeks when we get our new form. So stay tuned, but that's what's working for now. Any questions or comments on that? Sharon says, so you are saying that as soon as we get a reply back from agent saying not that offer, but what about this, if we are to give it to the acquisition manager? That's correct, Sharon. Yes. So that's the whole idea, is that your role is to submit as many offers as you can. That's your function. If you can do 100 offers a month, 100 offers a week, then you'll be doing 1 to 2 deals a week. If you do 100 offers a month, you'll be doing 1 to 2 deals per month. But the goal is for you to submit as many offers as you can so that the acquisition manager can turn those offers into contracts. When do we start officially? Yolanda, are you assigned to a team yet? If you're not assigned to a team, then you will be very, very shortly. Everyone else, no doing holding company. Okay, no problem, Yolanda. You'll be assigned to a team very shortly, and that's when you're ready to go. Most of the people here today are already ready to flow. Some of them have already submitted offers. There's challenges still. We're trying to address any of the challenges like the training. This training, I did a training already. It wasn't sufficient. So I'm trying to be a little bit more detailed this time to plug any holes in your understanding or in process so that we can get these offers churning. As many as possible. The more offers you produce, the more paychecks that you'll get out of those offers. Because that's what the acquisition need to produce with. Michael Guzman, lead source. Michael, can you explain yourself, please? I'm not quite understanding.
Sorry. The option in the form, there's a lead source and there's a drop down. There's a lot of different lead sources to select. Is there one we should be using just for agents?
Hold on a second. Alex, you want to answer that? You've been in here more than I have.
Yeah, the drop down will be the MLS.
Okay, just do MLS, okay.
Yes, yep, because everything we're doing now is on market.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate that. Let's see, what else? Where is the form? Sharon, which form are you speaking of? Are you talking about this one we're looking at right now? Okay, so ask your acquisition manager. He should be able to provide you the link for the form. Cool. it's also up to us as PFs to do our homework before, during, and after the training to sharpen our skills. At least I think so. At the point of the training, we should be familiar with Privy and how to use it. Yes, let me qualify that a little bit. One thing that we've heard, some of the feedback we've heard is that some people are spending all of their time sharpening their skills and 0 time submitting offers. And that doesn't work either. So you have to have, you can have time allotted for learning and sharpening your skills, but you need to have time blocks for income producing activities. So if you have the mindset of income producing activities and KPIs, key performance indicators, measure how you're doing. So if you're producing 0 offers, you're probably doing too much learning and not enough income producing activities. That's one element. When we're looking at how many offers people are submitting, there are some people submitting offers, but a lot of people are not. Maybe they're trying to sharpen their skills. Maybe they're just confused. We definitely want you to grow. We want you to sharpen your skills. Your acquisition manager should be your primary person that you go to sharpen your skills in this particular role. So your acquisition manager can help guide you, can help resolve any big problems you're having within your area, holes in your knowledge. But if you want to watch those videos from Jamil is awesome. Jerry's awesome. Pace is awesome. I love all of them. They're wonderful resources, but you can get consumed in just watching those videos, just honing your skills and never taking action. So, just guard yourself with that you have your time block for income producing activities. So, when you signed on for 15 to 20 hours a week or more. Those 15 to 20 hours is your income producing activity time, right? It's not your time to watch YouTube. So if you're spending 15 to 20 hours learning, but not submitting offers, it's really not making headway. And part of the issue with learning is you need to do reps. You need to actually do the repetition of analysis, of finding the property, of talking to agents, of submitting offers. As you do those reps, you're honing your skills. So a big part of honing the skills is just doing the reps, getting practice, but also having the right resources. So, one thing you'll notice when you're honing your skills is you have these various people with their methodologies, and all of them can work. They can most definitely work. These guys are great. They're not trying to pull wool over your eyes. But if you're trying to do Pace's way with the elephant challenge, and then you're trying to do Jamil's way, and then you're trying to do Jerry's way, you're going to get confused, or you're going to be off in left field and you're not syncing with our system. Our system was built for a very specific way of handling things. And we're trying to train from the top down to do it a very specific way. So honing your skills, the best way to hone your skills, go to all the trainings within our system. Go to your acquisition manager training. If your dispo is holding a training, go to that. If your team manager, Lynn, is holding a training, go to that. If I'm holding it, or Alex, do that, because that's specific to what we're doing with our system. Our system is broken out a certain way, and we want to make sure that everyone is producing and getting fruitage from this. So it's definitely good to hone your skills, but just be careful that you don't get lost in that maze of honing skills and learning. I mean, that we should have some sort of familiarity with Privy so that we can find and submit the deals. But yes, I agree. Yeah, thank you. All right, cool. So let me double check here. I think that kind of wraps up what we were planning on covering. Yep. So that's the 4 steps to being a property finder. Number 1 is actually finding a potential property within Privy by setting your filters right, finding fix and flip areas, and finding a property that needs some form of repair, something that we can add value to them with. Number two is talking to the agent. We want to build a rapport with the agent. We want them on our side. We want them to be able to feed us deals later, and also to be able to talk to the seller in a way that they understand it, and they basically set them up for whatever offer is going to be. They frame the offer. Number three, analyzing the deal. So looking at what the after repair value should be for the deal, figuring out what sort of fix or flip it should be, from lipstick all the way down to a tear down, or what's the other word besides tear down? Destroyed, basically the same thing. And then evaluating what the MAO should be, max allowable offer, as well as our first offer. And then the fourth thing is submitting it into the CRM and submitting the offer via email template or LOI. So I'd like to ask you guys now, if there's any other questions, or if there's anything at all that's preventing you from moving forward, because we want to help you so that you are able to move forward. So if that problem is us, as in your leadership, please let us know so that we can resolve that. If the problem is in yourself and that you don't feel ready, well, we want to help you through that. If this training wasn't sufficient, let us know where we can improve to give you what you need to move forward. If the problem is that well, obviously, if you're not assigned, we'll get you assigned real quick. But if your acquisition manager hasn't been providing the leadership you need, because he's your direct person that you turn to, well, we can address that too. Some of the acquisition managers are struggling to be managers or leaders. A leader is better than a manager because the leader actually does it. So we encourage acquisition managers to actually go out and submit offers, record it, have you on Zoom with them so that you can see that process and they can lead you to success. Andrea, I have a few questions about the submittal form. I'll let Alex answer those questions. What questions do you have, Andrea?
Hey there. Yeah, I have a few questions about how to fill this out. Specifically, okay, right in the beginning where it says first and last name and primary phone, whose information goes there?
I'm not at my computer right now, Ralph, but if you're talking about the contact information area, it's supposed to be the seller that should be listed in that portion of it. If you scroll down to the bottom, there should be a area where you can input your information as a property finder.
Okay, so it would be the seller on top, and then there's property finder information, and then agent information.
Yep, you see it? Yep, correct.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Move on. Hold on before you move on. That's not what I just told everybody. So I just want to make sure, where on the bottom do they enter in their own information? Can you see my screen, Alex?
Yes.
Is it, I'm all the way at the bottom. I don't see it. Do I need to go up a little bit?
Yes.
Hold on, let me mute my phone real quick. Hold on.
It's up more.
Keep scrolling up, Ralph. Right there.
Okay, property finder information. Okay, cool. Yeah. That
So
wasn't
what
good
happened?
before.
So one quick question. So scroll up to the top, Ralph. All the way up to the top to the contact information. So when you put the seller's information there, if you can, Ralph, go to the right and go to bring them to the cardboard where the active leads are, so I can show them what I'm talking about.
The active lead card?
Yeah, if you can go to the right to the panel and just go to all active leads where it says no contact, contact made, all the activity cards.
Yeah, so this is for PF. They won't be able to see that.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes, yes. So yeah, that's fine. But yeah, once you put your information in there, you could put it in a property finder information, and we can see who submitted the property.
All right, before you go, Alex, so this information here for the seller,
Yes,
we won't have that information. The primary phone number is required field. What number should they put in there?
if it doesn't hurt if you want to put your information in there, because everything is on market and the agent information is going to go at the bottom. So there's two ways you can do it. If you want to put your information at the top there and put your phone number, we can check you that way as well. If you want to put it at the bottom, that's fine as well. Either way, it's fine. But as long as we have the agent information, because that's what we need the most of. That's more important.
And your information here. Where it says
Yes,
property finder.
yeah. So we can track whoever submits the form.
Okay, so ignore what I said earlier. Please don't put your name under the top contact info. Put your name under property finder info.
And then we put our number under primary phone also. Is that accurate? Where we need to fill in at the top?
Hey, Alex, can you just make that primary phone not required? Is that
Yep,
possible?
I can do that. That way you can skip that and put your number and information at the bottom as well. Yep, I can take care of that when I get back.
Okay, so yeah, so just put it under here, first and last name and your number and a contact number.
Yep, so if we need to contact you immediately, we could just contact you from the card itself. And then we can call you from there if we need any more information.
Okay. Okay, I have another question too, if you don't mind. So where do we input the offer information? I didn't see anything on here. Are we just like copying the acquisition manager on the email, offer email?
Yes.
So we're just copying them and we don't put that information in this form at all
Yep,
then?
you can put it in the activity log note section on the side of the offer. And
Okay,
then once the acquisition gets it, he's gonna move it, he or she will move it to offer made, and then that's when they're gonna put in the offer.
okay. So we'll
and-
just type that in the activity log
Yes,
then?
yep,
Okay,
that's fine.
all right.
And Andrea, to be clear, you're using the same email as your acquisition manager.
Okay,
When you send
So-
it out and they
oh, so
reply
they should,
back,
gotcha.
yeah, they'll have that automatically.
All right,
Yes, that's already all set up as well.
thank you.
Thank you. Let's see here, questions. Okay, Brian, not assigned, we'll get you assigned. In the email provided, mentioned a profit finder certification quiz. So that certification, we had hoped it would be available now. It's not ready. So just move forward. We're going to come out with that certification. That's not going to be a hold up for any one of you. This training today, we're trying to answer any questions that you have to prevent anything from holding you up from moving forward.
Okay, no problem.
But it's a very good question. We are going to be implementing that certification quiz, but not yet. There's a lot of building in the background that has to happen. And we tried to push for it to get done over the weekend, and it was just too much to get done in that short of time frame.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Can a PF update the form after submitted? Mike, I don't think so. Alex, he can't update after he submits it, correct?
I'm sorry, Ryan, I couldn't hear you.
Mike Guzman asked, can a PF update the form after he submits it?
No, it won't allow them to update anything unless.
Yeah. So if you need to update it somehow, Mike, you can just let your ACQ
Your
know.
acquisition, yeah, let your acquisition manager know that it needs to be updated or there was a mistake or something, and then they have the rights to edit.
Yolanda asked, should we put the seller agent contact information in the top? So the very top is for the seller, which you probably will not have their information, but down below, you have it for the agent right here. This is where you put the agent information.
That's correct.
To clarify, what info goes into the activity log? You want to answer that, Alex?
Yep, just any information that you need the acquisition manager to know, even your first offer price and any description for them to help them do a better job. That's all.
And what is the name of the Discord group? Or do I have to be assigned to a group first to get information? Angel, yes, you have to be assigned to a group first, and then you'll be attached to that group.
That's correct. So once I receive your JV agreements, we'll then get you into the group and then to the Discord.
How will we be getting paid? So Andrea, the way we're going to pay is once the deal closes, the money will flow out of escrow to our LLC, and then we will pay out anybody's name that was attached to this deal. So you as a PF, when you submit the offer, your name is attached, and that's when you get paid out your percent. Would you say we should send out offers by email if we can't get a hold of the agent within the same day? You can submit without getting a hold of the agent. There's a template for that. Our preference is to talk to the agent, or at least talk to a buyer's agent who will represent you before the listing agent. But if you can't get a hold of any other agent, you can do it that way. I like having direct contact with an agent, even if it's not the listing agent, because if there's that contact isn't there, they're just going to view your email as a lowball offer, and it's probably not going to work. So my rule of thumb is always be in contact, building rapport with some agent, whether it's a listing agent or another agent. Okay, everything has been submitted last week. I'm just waiting on you guys kind of patiently. Angel, can you unmute for a minute?
Yeah, give me a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So
Okay.
you mentioned everything has been submitted. You're not talking about offers, you're talking about your
No.
paperwork?
Yeah, my JV, I filled that out, submitted it last week and got a response, so I'm just waiting to get put in a group.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, Len is working on that now. I saw your name on the list. So she's
Okay.
working on that now for you.
All right, good deal. I already got a handful of what potential leads and deals on Privy already saved. So whatever group I get in, I'll already have a handful ready to go. So
Okay, I'm gonna talk to Len shortly after this, and everybody that's not assigned and handed in their agreements, we'll make sure you get signed to as soon as possible. Okay.
all right, you got it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
And Yolanda, so you're saying we should acquire our own buyer's agent. Yeah, that's helpful. Over time, if you don't have a relationship with somebody, you just go straight to the seller. I like going to the seller when I can because of that double dip. But if you're in Texas and you can't, or in other areas, having that available to you is very valuable asset. When they partner with you on that, a lot of times they'll as well, not only do they get their percent of the deal because they're an agent involved in the deal, but they might be able to even pick it up on the backside, on the flip side, once it's flipped. So, you can refer them over to the buyer in case they don't have somebody on that property. The submitted forms will show up in RE Simply for the acquisition manager to review, correct? Yep. Are we concentrating on our own state, or can we go outside any state? Yolanda, it sounds like you haven't been assigned yet, but you'll be assigned to a specific market. Not even a state, but a specific market. So that market that you're assigned to might be Jacksonville, it might be Tampa, it might be Dallas, but you'll be working within that market, and they'll tell you exactly what area of that market to work, because there might be multiple property finders for that market, and you'll be working alongside of them, but the goal is not to overlap them. Cool. Any more questions? Hey, it's been 2 hours and we really appreciate all you hanging out and getting all this information. Our goal is for you to be very successful, to know how to submit offers, submit them, make deals out of them, and get paychecks out of them. Anything we can do to support you, we want to do that. And our apologies, we're we just built this system a couple weeks ago. There's holes we're plugging. We're trying to make it run smooth. Anytime any builds a new machine, they have to troubleshoot it and find where problems and challenges and re-engineer different things. We're trying to get this machine running smooth so that all of you can produce a lot of income out of here. But if you can please work with us, be patient, but also let us know on anything you need help with so that we can provide that help. And another thing, try to put your blinders on as much as possible, because you'll always have input from other people and you might get lost with all this other input. But if you can get a system down and do that system, we're trying to teach you a system, you know, all the way from the team manager to dispo managers to acquisition managers to you, a system that flows smoothly. So if you can put those blinders on for your acquisition manager, not the others, not the other property finders in other markets or people in other YouTube systems. This system works if you do it and you put your blinders on and listen to your ACQ and your dispo. Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. And Angel fixes machines for a living. You know what we're talking about. I would like to still be involved in the trainings until my holding company is up and running. Absolutely, Yolanda, no problem at all. Angel, thank you for creating the machine. You bet. Yeah, we want this machine to work for everybody. That's the idea. You know, just we basically analyze other people's systems, tried to figure out where the challenges were in their systems, and reverse engineer a system that didn't have those challenges and had more advantages. But of course, building something from scratch that nobody else has produced is going to have its own challenges that we have to overcome, that we have to work through. When this week, upcoming relevant trainings. Yeah, we can talk offline, Alan, absolutely. Can you explain the ARV? ARVS per square foot. I think you mean dollar per square foot, Mary. Hey, we're excited for you too, Yolanda.
Yes, yes. I believe that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
That, yes.
Yeah. Let me do another property for you.
Cool. Thank you.
You bet. So 1 second here. Can you see? Can you see? You can tell I'm getting tired. Huh? Can you see my Privy?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to come out of this property. I'm going to try a whole different property. Let me see what we got here. All right, so I can see this property. It doesn't look in horrible shape, but it's also, you know, it could be fixed up a little bit better. Let me double check here. Yeah, it's not bad at all. This would be what I would probably call a lipstick. Its kitchen, you know, its kitchen looked like it could be done a little better, but you have to sink more money in if you're going to redo the kitchen. I can't quite tell if that's stone countertop or not. Just, you know, I don't know if it's my eyeballs or the picture's not good enough, but it doesn't quite reveal that to me. So looking down below, I'm going to see what it shows for. So this is 215, a little on the high end, but not bad. If I was to, first thing I'm going to do to try to take this down is I'm going to do the pencil. It's on the south side of the freeway. So that's all I want, south side of freeway. And do these main roads, stay within the main roads. Okay. So that's the territory I want to try to find a comp for. Again, it's only given me one investor property. That investor property looks good here, here, here. It does have one less bedroom. but it's actually a little bit larger. That could be one we could go off of. Notice $254 per square foot. If we went off of that single one, if I look at the property to see if it was an actual fix or fix and flip, it looks pretty decent. It looks better than our subject property. So I could potentially use this 254, but I haven't seen enough data to make me feel comfortable with 254. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over to sold, and I'm going to just weed out the trash again. So I sort by the sold date, get rid of the old stuff. Being is that there's plenty of properties, I should get down to 3 months or at least close to 3 months. So I'm just going to weed out, weed out, weed out. Okay, now I've got to more or less the last 3-4 months. So now I'm going to look at bill generation. Everything looks good there. I'm going to go over to the price. I'm sorry, not price. The square feet. Minus 975. Make sure nothing is way out of line with 975. It's right there in the middle. It looks fine. Dollar per square foot. I'm not even going to look at these that are 113 because I know that that's not fixed. No flipper is going to do that. I'm going to get rid of these low end properties. And now I'm left with this smaller package of properties. Looking at a 3-1 single level, they're all single, garage. None of them have a garage. So we're all fairly close. But if I have a 3-1, it's better than like this one's a 2-1. 2-1 can still give me an idea what it might, be a comp for because of the square feet. This is a little bit smaller. 2-1 should go for a little bit less than a 3-1 because people prefer 3 over a 2. I see this 2-1 went for 239. So that would be on the low end of the scale. And it is, if I sort by square feet, that is at the low end of the scale. If I go, this 3.2 is actually turned to a 2.2. That's interesting. Almost identical in square feet, but it's at the high end of $282 per square foot. What I will typically do is get rid of the ones that are, odd. They're not in that range. They're way high or way low. So I see a 239, I see a 248, 254, 260, 262, 278, and 282. I'm going to get rid of the 239 because it's a 2.2 and it's 100 square feet smaller. 100 isn't that much, but when you're dealing with a small property, it does make a difference. Between 975 and 875 is a much more substantial difference than 1900 and 2000. So this one is a 3-1. These are all 2s. Everything else is a 2. I'm going to dump off, even though this here is a stacked. The stack tells me that it's actually a fix and flip. If I look at these, let me see if these are fix and flip. So I'm going to do a quick check here. That's a cool looking property. I think that someone spent a little bit of time on that one. So judging from these photos, it looks like a fix and flip. Let me check the next one. Yeah, this does not look staged like a fix and flip, but it looks like it's in pretty decent shape in a way. So, I would say of all these properties, I would kind of go down the middle somewhere. So not 248, not 282, 262. That might be where I land. If you want to do it more complicated, you can actually like add them up and divide them by the number of properties that you're adding and dividing by to come up with it. I'm just going to grab something out of the middle. To me, it's not a big deal if I get 260 or 262. It's not that significant of a difference. This is a 3-1 instead of a 2-1. So I should get a better price tag. but because 3-1s should go for better than a 2-1. I'm just gonna ignore that fact though, and I'm gonna go with a 262. I'm not gonna raise it up. So let me see what we got here. Mary, does that answer your question? Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You bet. Yeah, from that dollar per square foot, you just plug it into the calculator, it'll give your ARV. Or you can also just take that dollar per square foot and multiply it by your square foot, and that gives you your ARV as well. All right, Alex says, one more thing, if you're having any problems at any point, not getting in touch with your acquisition managers, please let us know immediately. It's important for us that no one is lost, no one's left behind. Everyone is taken care of in a timely manner. Yeah, for certain. We've had 2 acquisition managers drop out. We don't want you to get lost if somebody ghosts us, and whether it be an acquisition manager or PFs might ghost us too. Maybe they just have other things going on. They thought they could commit and they couldn't. But we want to make sure that everyone has a team that they can work with. So if you don't have an acquisition manager that's helping you out, then we want to fix that problem. Or if an acquisition manager doesn't have property finders that are submitting offers that they're able to help along the path, then we want to fix that problem. But we want every single one of you to be successful in this venture, and we're here for you. Really, we want you to succeed. Anything else before we go? Thank you, everyone. We appreciate your time and look forward to, we'll have another meeting later, probably another week or so, but we'll try to plan it out that works for everybody. All right, have a good afternoon.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye-bye.